And if I could sum up most of the coastal directors that I know, it's that they are leaders who don't just talk the talk, but they actually walk the walk. We'll be talking about that a little bit tonight, but let me tell you this. If your director told you about this call tonight, or they told you about the call schedule in the back office, they emailed you, they spoke to you on the phone today, they did anything that directed you to this call tonight, you're following someone who's coachable, teachable, who understands the system. You're following someone who's selfless. You're following someone who doesn't have a great big ego. Because you see, a lot of people, in order to be able to lead someone to success, there's a lot of people out there that they need credit for everything. They want to be, have the credit to say, I'm the reason that they had success. So the idea of putting them on a conference call where there's going to be another leader teaching or talking, there's a lot of people that just are not able to do that. Their ego is just not in a place where they're able to do that. So if your director is obviously not one of those people, so make sure that you thank them for their time, thank them for their help. Send them a short email tonight, first thing in tomorrow morning. Hey, I just appreciate everything that you're doing for me. I appreciate you helping me. I appreciate your leadership. I appreciate your example. Thank you so much. Tonight's call is going to be incredible. I'm going to talk to you specifically about some of the tools that I use in my business, and I'm going to give you specifics on what I use. I'm going to show you where you can get access to these tools, what you can, where you can get them at. I'm going to tell you, I mean, this is like behind the scenes. I oftentimes get these types of questions, and I'm always trying to explain and what to get, where to get it at. Tonight I'm going to show you absolutely everything. So you're going to want to make sure you're in front of your computer. But first, let me tell you how I ended up on this call. Well, over 13 years ago, I was working full-time as a registered nurse. I loved my job as a nurse. I loved knowing that I was doing something that truly made a difference in people's lives. But I was working long hours. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was in debt financially. In fact, everyone that I worked with that I knew about was in debt. And I remember hearing conversations at the nurse's station about people talking about their car payments, their house payments, buying another car and how long they were going to be paying on it. Then trading in a car and being upside down on the car payment, talking about credit cards and credit card debt and what stores give the best credit cards and which credit cards have the lowest interest rates. And it was always about debt. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, you're not even making enough, you as in we're not even making enough to be able to pay the bills that we have. And then we're talking about going into debt. And I just thought, that's not the kind of life that I want to live. As I raise a family, that's not the position I want them to be in. So I started looking around online because I thought there had to be a better way. And I wanted to be able to have control of my life. I wanted to be able to have control of my time. I wanted to be able to be in charge of my time. And I wanted to do something that would allow me to make more money. I didn't want to, listen, I wasn't asking for the world on a silver platter. I was just trying to live a comfortable life, have more freedom and flexibility without having to live in debt every day. And I didn't want to punch someone else's time clock. I didn't want someone else telling me what to do, when to do it, how much vacation days I could have off, when I could have off. I was so tired of having to request time off. I wasn't lazy. I was willing to go to work. I didn't want to have to request time off. That just felt so ridiculous, not even knowing, hey, I only had like 3 weeks a year of vacation. The idea that I had to get permission to even take the vacation, just something about that bugged the absolute heck out of me. And so that's when I started looking into working from home. And eventually I came across the idea of marketing the coastal travel packages. I was blown away by the product. I always wanted to be able to travel and vacation. I grew up with a family that we never got to vacation or go anywhere or travel or really do anything. So being able to vacation, travel was something that I always wanted to do more of. And so when I saw the travel packages and how you could travel for literally pennies on the dollar, it just blew my mind. In fact, my wife and I, my two kids who are 3 and 5, and my mother-in-law all just went on vacation. It was an awesome time. Before you say anything, I love my mother-in-law. I think I'm married to one of the I'm married into one of the greatest families on the planet. I have amazing in-laws. It was my idea to invite my mother-in-law on vacation with us, just so you know. Got to put that caveat out there because somebody's like, "Ugh, your mother-in-law." Nope, my mother-in-law's freaking awesome. But with that being said, we just used our travel package. We went to Florida. We were in this luxury, and I mean luxury, 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo unit. We're talking about the big jacuzzi garden tub in the master bedroom. We're talking about the huge oversized tile shower, stand-up shower in the master bedroom. We're talking about, a full-on suite, like it was huge. It was a condo suite where it had a screened-in back porch area or balcony area, and a full living room, a full dining room that sat 6 people. Had a full kitchen, normal full-size kitchen. This place is bigger than some people's houses. It had a second bedroom that had two double beds in it, and it had a bathroom. The bathroom itself had a standard bathroom, but it had an oversized tub in it that was jetted with jacuzzi jets. And then there was another room that was considered a bedroom, but reality it was kind of like a den. It had a sleeper sofa. It had actually had a small kitchenette in there, which we didn't use. It had its own microwave in there, coffee pot, toaster. It had a apartment size refrigerator. It had a TV flat screen in there. I used it as my office when I was there. It had a small little table in there that 2 people could sit at and eat if they wanted to, but I used that as my office desk. And that entire unit online was just over $2,500, the best deal that we could find not using our travel package. But using our Platinum travel package, we got that unit for $598 for 14 nights. I think I calculated it was like $42.71 per night out the door. You can't stay in a cockroach motel sometimes for $42 a night. It was unbelievable. And that was just one of many, many vacations that we've been on over the years. I mean, literally, I have saved tens of thousands of dollars, owning my travel package. It's been unbelievable. So when I saw the product blew me away in the beginning. And then being able to understand that I could market the product and being able to earn a real business profit, $1,000, $3,200, $9,705. The product was a no-brainer. And then when you could earn the kind of profits that we could earn, I just felt like the Coastal Travel Package, this entire income model was an answer to prayer for me. I got started. Shortly after getting started, I ended up hearing about this training event, Mrs. Danny Johnson. I went to that training event. 30 days coming out of that training event. This is this exact same type of event that's coming up in San Diego in January. I went to that event. 30 days out of that event, I marketed a Premier package and a Platinum package. It blew my mind. My first year working on a part-time basis, I ended up making more money on a part-time basis than I earned working full-time as a nurse. So I left my nursing career behind. This has been my primary source of income, marketing coastal packages over the years. We've been able to live a totally non-traditional life. We work from home, set my own hours, I set my own schedule. We vacation 6 to 12 weeks a year. And I'm just able to be here with my kids and my wife, and we get to do things. I'm able to take time off in the middle of the day if I want to. I get to, I go to work and wake up when I want to. Don't mistake that. I don't mean that some people, I love the email that went out today from the system. Sean in California mentioned, the problem with some people is they see a home business as a home business, and they don't treat it like a business. I don't want you to think that I don't work. I probably work about 30 hours a week. But I get to choose the hours that I work. I get to choose when I take time off. This is a business. I treat it like a business. And I recommend that you do the same thing. But if you treat it like a business, this has been able to pay me far more than anything else has ever been able to pay me, giving me time, freedom, and flexibility that I could have only imagined. We've been able to pay off debt. We've been able to invest money. We've been able to donate to causes that are important to my wife and my heart as well. Been able to provide a living for our kids that my parents could have only dreamed about. I'm not worried about my wife and I's retirement in the future. And I'm not even worried about if the stock market takes a crash, what's going to happen to our retirement, because my retirement is so diversified, it's not dependent on any one particular vehicle. And so what I recommend to you as a new associate tonight listening to this call, you are starting down a journey that can transform your life. I don't share my story with you to brag or to impress you, but just understand what is possible. If you've gotten started because your goal is to make a ridiculous sum of money, you can do that. If you've gotten started because you want to be able to secure your future, you got laid off, or you're tired of, you're fearful of getting laid off, or you want to secure your retirement, you need to beef up your retirement. If that's what you're looking for, then you can choose to do that. It doesn't matter what you're here for. You're part of an extraordinary industry. $7 trillion worldwide is spent on travel. 100 and something odd billion dollars in the US alone. So it grew by over 12%, I read today. Last year, the travel industry alone grew by over 12% in the U.S. We're just talking about U.S., not worldwide. And Americans, by the way, travel far less than most other countries. Just a heads up if you didn't know that. So you're part of one of the greatest industries in the world. You're helping people create memories for their family, memories they otherwise would have never had. And at the same time, you're able to live a life that you've always wanted. Now's your opportunity. This is your journey. This is your moment in time. It's time to seize it. All right, so today we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to show you right on my computer. We're going to talk about some of the tools that are needed that are highly recommended. I would say highly recommended for your business. That's not optional. It's needed. It's necessary. It's going to be your script books. Now, you can go to DannyJohnson.com or SmarterNetworker.com and get your script books. You need your script books. I don't want to harp on this. You just need your script books. Everything we do is in scripts. You don't have to memorize anything. I don't recommend that you ever memorize your scripts ever. I have never intentionally memorized them to this day ever. I don't even answer the telephone if I don't have my scripts in front of me. People sometimes say, every once in a while someone would be like, "Hey, are you reading a script?" And I just say yes and keep going. Why? Because if they know that I'm reading a script, they know that it's simple and that they can do it. Danny Johnson said there's 2 questions that everyone has to ask before they make a decision to get started. Is it simple? Can I do it? The answer is yes, it's simple, and yes, they can do it, because you're just reading a script. So I don't even, in fact, when my team members bring me a 3-way, I always start off by saying, I'll call my team member's name. We'll say John. "Hey, John, I'm going to be reading out of Danny Johnson's script book on page 22. You can just follow along." I do that for the sake of the prospect listening in. I want them to know I'm reading from a script at that point for certain. So script books are optional. In fact, I don't even go to work with anyone until they get their script books. I mean, I've never ever built my business successful without my script books, and I don't teach other people to do anything that I wouldn't do. If you listen to OJT on Saturdays, you'll hear those directors reading the script books. That's how we build business. So first thing is your script books. That's not optional. Now the second thing is optional, and it's one of the things that I would put. I'm going to go through some other things that are kind of more need to know, but since we're talking about components of the system, and I'm actually going to go outside the system here in a moment, but since we're talking about components of our system, and the script book is part of our system, then I want to go ahead and mention this. If you're not using this next item, it needs to be on your wish list. The very first thing you plan to start using as soon as you make money, like as soon as you make money, and that's going to be right here. In fact, this is the page where Phone Burner is. Let me show you where this is. You want to use Phone Burner. If you come to the marketing tab in your back office and you go to right here, Phone Burner, you'll get to this page. On this page, they give you a 14-day trial to Phone Burner. Just test it out. I'm in the demo account, but just come here to full Phone Burner demo.
Thank you for taking the time today.
Watch this video, and it's going to give you a good idea of how Phone Burner works. It's an incredible tool. Like, it's incredible. You want to watch that video. The Phone Burner will save you so much time. It allows you basically to call about twice as many people in half the time. And it also, there's a way in there that you can read all the different instructions that show you everything here. There's a way in there where you can record your voicemail, and so you don't have to keep leaving voicemails over and over. That alone is a huge time saver. A lot of people are intimidated until they test out Phone Burner, and I always tell my team members, look, everybody can test it out. It's a 14-day trial. Test it out for 14 days for free. Just go test it out for 14 days so you understand how to use it. Don't be intimidated by it. It's such an incredible tool. Listen, here's basically what it will do. It is not an auto dialer like telemarketers use. It actually calls and you're listening on the line. And again, you can watch this whole demo and see how it works. It'll pull up a screen. It shows you the name of the person that's calling. It's very similar to if you were just hand dialing everybody, except it's calling for you. When someone picks up, if you type your script in, your script is right there so you can read it. If you have your script on your desk or whatever, in the script book on your desk, you can just read straight out of that. But you'll see as soon as they pick up the telephone, because the only way you hear them, but it'll show you that they picked up the phone. If you have to leave a voicemail, this is where it saves you so much time. As soon as a voicemail starts, you can click one button that says leave voicemail. Phone burner automatically just starts calling the next person. That's it. But behind the scenes, that's all you saw. You just saw it start calling the next person. But what it did with you just clicking that button, while you're waiting for the next person to pick up the phone, phone burner is a workhorse behind the scenes. It's actually, get this, it's leaving a voicemail on the voice message at the appropriate time after the beep. It makes a note in your system of the time and date that you called in their contact. It does it automatically. It makes a note that you called and left a voicemail, and it automatically sends them the left voicemail email, and you did nothing but just click button, leave voicemail. So the next person could pick up the telephone, and you're talking to the next person. You don't even know it. You can't even tell it, but behind the scenes, phone burner's typing a note in the previous contact, it's sending them an email, and it's leaving them a voicemail. So it saves you so much time. Watch the demo, sign up for the free trial, and just as of this video, because this is getting recorded, it's a free trial. As of this webinar, it's a free trial of 14 days. It used to be 7 days, extended to 14. So later on, who knows, they may extend it to full 30 days or they may go back to 7 days. I'm not sure. But right now, at this moment, it's a full 14 days. So I would take advantage of that ASAP. So we just talked about the script books, phone burner. Now this is next. People always ask me, what kind of planner are you using? This is my exact planner that I use. And yes, our system does keep appointments for us, but I track my dials. People say, how do you track your numbers? I track my numbers in a phone planner, just like this. Now mine is different than this. I think I got a new design this year. I'm going to go to the store to see if I can get exactly what I want, but for some of you, this is going to be perfect. The one that I use, the day starts at 8 o'clock. I'm on Eastern time, so that's perfect for me. I'm usually doing my dials by 9. In my office, doing my dials by 9. 8 o'clock, I'm usually listening to some sort of training or audio or something. 9 o'clock, I'm picking up the telephone, making my first phone calls. Sometimes 8:30. So 8 o'clock is good for me. This starts at 7. My phone planner ends at 9 o'clock. The 9 o'clock hour is where I usually write up a summary for my day. So here's what I mean by summary. Notice how there's 4 lines, 15-minute blocks here for each hour. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. There's like if you can look close, I hope you can see it on the screen share software. But there's also a 7, then below it's 15, 30, 45, and then there's 8 o'clock. 15, 30, 45, and 9 o'clock. I use those 4 lines to track my phone calls. So, and I track mine on an hourly basis. It lets me know what hours are productive, what's going on, that sort of thing. So I literally use each line, and I'll write like a D, a P, and SW. D stands for dials that hour. P stands for pipeline that hour. SW means I schedule them for the webinar. Now I want to explain this jargon in case you're so new you don't know what I mean by that. But when I call my leads, I call my leads at least 3 times. I call them the first time. If I don't reach them, I leave a voicemail. I leave the voicemail out of the script book. The second time, if I don't reach them, I don't leave a message. The third time, I leave the voicemail in the script book that says voicemail to leave on 3rd try. So I call my leads up to 3 times. Now I track every time I make an outbound dial to a potential prospect. Every single time. Whether it's a bad phone number, no one answers, whatever. I track every single one of those dials. And I do it kind of hangman style. So I'll write like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 across. That's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 across. Now I do this a little bit different if I'm using phone burner, but that's my general rule. And then for pipeline means that they answer the phone. I took them through the first interview, and I schedule them for a follow-up appointment. If I schedule them for a follow-up appointment, I consider them quote unquote in my pipeline. So I'm tracking how many dials I'm making, and I'm tracking how many people go in the pipeline, and then if I follow up with them, now just use the 4-step success system. I follow up with them, and I get them scheduled for a webinar. Then I include that. That's part of the, so it's DPSW. SW means I got them scheduled for a webinar. And I track each hour separately. This is important. It lets me know how many hours I was productive that day. That's an extremely important thing to know, especially if you're trying to build business and you're trying to be professional. And Danny Johnson teaches in one of her products, Time Secrets, how to kind of highlight your calendar. This is the calendar that I highlight. So you know what hours you're working. They're highlighted a certain color. You know every day, in my case, at 12 o'clock, there's a webinar. At 8 o'clock, there's a webinar. Now, if I end up getting this calendar, what I'll do is I'll use the 7 o'clock hour for my totals. I usually use the 9 o'clock hour. And so it's my totals for the day. So I have DPSW. For the 12 o'clock hour and the 8 o'clock hour, I have D and W. That stands for dials and webinar. Webinar meaning they actually showed up for the webinar. Because it's one thing to get someone scheduled, but not everybody who gets scheduled actually shows up. So, so what I do is I track dials and webinar on the hours that there's a webinar, 12 and 8. And also on those hours, I'll track closing if I read the closing script, or three-way. Now I do three-way with my team members. You may be doing three-ways with your director, so it's a good thing to track. Because at some point you'll be doing your own closing. So you can track your three-ways, and then you can also track closing later. So at the 7 o'clock hour, that in this calendar, that's when I would put up my totals. D, total dials for the day. Just go down the list, add them up real quick. It doesn't take long. P, total number in the pipeline. SW, how many got scheduled. W, how many got went to the webinar, and then close. How many closed. And then I also write marketing system and package if I need to, package sale. Obviously that doesn't happen every single day, but I'll include that. There's room to write that in that hour. And this is why I love this calendar. It gives you just enough room to do this. And then what I'll do is notice how Sunday, I personally don't work on Sundays. I think I've worked a little bit on 2 Sundays in 14 years, almost 14 years that I've been doing this. So what I do for Sunday is that's where my weekly totals are. So I'll write the same thing here, DPSW, close, marketing system package. And I'll just come across here and add up the totals. Total dials, total pipeline, everything. And I put those totals right here. Now some of you know that I keep a weekly spreadsheet on my computer where I track my own numbers. Well, all I have to do is just grab them from right here. So I write them here and then I'll put them on my spreadsheet on my computer. And if for any reason my computer crashes or whatever, I have them right here. I'm on vacation, I can write them right here when I get home. Because I currently have my spreadsheet on my laptop. I just thought today I should use Google Sheets or something, but currently I use Excel and it's on my desktop. So, but this is where I put the totals, right here. And my spreadsheet on my computer, I just track it once a week, weekly. But this is the calendar I use, and this is why I use it, because it gives me just enough room to do everything. I also, one other thing that I do in here, just to kind of, when you get busy in this business, when you really get busy, you got a good advertising budget coming in, or you got a lot of people you're talking to, one thing that I like to do just to kind of help me kind of keep things straight is I put little dots beside the hour of my appointments. So if I call someone, here at this 9 o'clock time slot, and I schedule to, they're driving or whatever, they're going to work, they ask me to give them a call back today at 5, I'll make an appointment in their notes, of course, for 5 o'clock. And I'll use the calendar to actually schedule the appointment for 5, not this calendar, the calendar in the back office, to actually schedule the appointment for 5 o'clock. But just to remind me, because I'm not always on my computer, if you'll notice on the right-hand side of the screen here where it's blowed up at 5 o'clock, there's just enough room right there. I take my little pen and I just make a dot right beside that 5. And that way, if I'm not logged in and I've got my calendar with me, or if I'm, in my office and I think I need to step out for an appointment or whatever, one thing that I'll always do is I'll just double check my calendar, make certain that I don't have any appointments there. This is just how I do it. You can do whatever you want to. You can use whatever calendar you want to. This is just what I do. This is my system over the years that I've just put together. It works super simple for me, and it's easy. But you can do what you want to. But this is a calendar that I use. People always ask me this, and it's right here. This particular one's the At a Glance Weekly Appointment Book Planner. Obviously, this is 2018, 2019. This is the one that I use. $16.59 on Amazon Prime. If you want to get it today. All right, so that's the calendar that I use. So I've told you about the script books, obviously. Phone burner, highly recommend. Couldn't imagine living without it today, even working without it. And the calendar. Now, telephone. So this is the exact phone that I use. There's a couple reasons I use this phone. I use this phone. There's a few Panasonic phones out there. Panasonic has proven for me to have some of the best battery life. I have literally, listen, the one thing that we do is talk on the telephone. That's 80% of our time is talking on the phone. What are we doing now? We're talking on the phone. This, you're going to be on webinars, conference calls. You're going to be making outbound calls to your clients. You're going to be returning voicemails. You're on the phone. We don't see people face to face unless we want to. We can do this business from anywhere in the world with the phone. These Panasonic phones have been amazing for me. It's what I use, and there's a couple of reasons why. One is the battery life has been exceptional. They're reasonably priced for what they are. The other big one is right here. I don't know if you can see that, but I believe that's where it's at on this phone. This is a newer model than what I currently have. I have bought phones, and literally within 3 months, the batteries were no longer working in them. They were just dead. I mean, it's amazing. It's like it's amazing. But I can get these phones to last me at least 2, 3, 4 years. So I'm not sure how old the set I have now is, but I have 2 sets of these phones in my house. One, my house, I have 3 levels in my home: basement, main floor, and top floor. My main floor, we have 2 of these phones that are newer models. That's on a house phone line. I have 2 lines in my home. By the way, don't let that intimidate you. I started out, let me just explain to you. I started out making phone calls on my cell phone without phone burner or nothing. It's crazy to think about that now. I probably worked on my cell phone for 2 or 3 years for a couple of reasons. A, we didn't have phone burner. B, it never occurred to me to get another phone. But I do recommend having a landline to build your business. If you have to go with some sort of VoIP service or internet service because of where you live or whatever, that's your best option. You don't have a good phone service. There are a few places in our country and in Canada that to have a landline is very expensive. It's like very expensive. They still don't even have like unlimited long distance in a lot of places. I don't want to say a lot of places. There are a few places where that's still the case in rural areas. So if you have to use voice over IP and stuff like that, that's fine. The reason I recommend using a landline is because you can deal with a lot of interference when you're talking casually to friends and family. But sometimes if you talk over the internet, you'll notice that there's a lag every once in a while where the internet gets clogged up or it's something. And there's a little bit of a lag, almost like back in the day if you called overseas, how you could have a little bit of a delay in the line. And that's fine with family and friends, or if you sound just a little bit staticky, like people using cell phones. Can you hear me now? That cell phone. The crazy thing, as technology has improved over the years, since I've been doing this for nearly 14 years, as technology has improved, what's gotten worse is call quality. That's crazy. Who would have ever guessed that, 10 years ago? Call quality is at like an all-time low. It's amazing how many prospects we talk to and you just can't hear them because they're on a cell phone and they don't get a signal or whatever. Or worse, they're on Magic Jack or some sort of VoIP service and there's a delay in the line. And if it's your prospect, that's one thing. But if it's you're trying to make a good first impression on a prospect, you want to have a crystal clear phone call. You don't want them to think that you're some sort of telemarketer. You don't want them to think that you're some sort of collection agency. You don't want them to think that there's a crazy delay in the line. Let me tell you, this is so important in this business that it took me about a year to realize. I moved, I bought a new house, the house we live in now. We had the only service available for long distance was this DSL service. There was nothing available, and if you know anything about DSL, it's just not the best quality service. It was so important for me to get a better service that I actually had to contact the cable company, go through their business department, and I paid a ridiculous sum of money. Actually, I negotiated a ridiculous sum of billing. At one point, my bill was $600 a month just so I could get internet to my house. And I agreed to that because they wanted to charge me almost 30 grand to run an internet cable line down my road and then down my driveway, there's no one on my road, by the way. Nobody on my road, if you can believe it or not. And I don't live in a super rural area, but we're just in one of these funky spots. There's nobody on my road that has cable internet. Nobody. I live next door to a neighborhood. I don't live in a neighborhood, but I live next door to a neighborhood. Every home over there, I would say the average price, at the very least, $500,000. And by the way, in the state of Georgia, $500,000, $700,000 can buy you a great home. Probably 5,000 square feet, 4 to 6 bedrooms, that kind of thing. It's going to blow some of your minds because you can't believe this. None of them have cable, have cable internet. None of them. They have this really crappy DSL service. It's just not good. They get like 2 or 3 megs. The problem with that is it lagged on me, and I did not realize for the longest time that it lagged. And then I had a couple of people mention to me on the phone one day, and all of a sudden I put 2 and 2 together. Wait a minute. And I had noticed some of my prospects, like I would say, hey John, how's it going? And they would hang up, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Like a lot. It was happening a lot. And I kind of thought, I don't know, maybe there's been a change in the advertising. I didn't know what it was. It took me way too long to put this together. And as soon as I realized it, I was like, done. I told my wife that day, I will find a solution to get internet or we are selling this house because this is my livelihood. And it didn't, listen, when I found out that it was going to cost me, I thought it was going to cost me 30 grand to get internet to my house, a solid internet service. And I have an amazing internet service now, business class, high speed, ridiculous. I was willing to pay that because it's only just over 3 platinum cells. I was certain I had lost that much money the previous year, not realizing it. And the way I realized it was just talking to people. A couple of friends or family members kept saying something about your voice is delayed. And when they said that, all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. And I started asking people on the phone all the time, hey, did you notice our phone call, has it been kind of, I was on the phone with them for 20, 30 minutes. And people were saying, not all the time, but some of the time they were like, yeah, there was a little delay there a minute ago. I thought it was my line. And they all thought it was their line. Nobody was thinking it was my line. And I was like, holy smokes. No, it's my line. So that's how important it is. But you start with what you got. You do the best with what you can. Did I still make money all that time period with crappy phone service? Yes. But you want to upgrade. I recommend having a landline. I recommend using a standard phone with, this is the next part, a wired headset. Listen, don't talk to your prospects on speakerphone. Ever. Again, it's about the first impression. You want it to be crystal clear. Bluetooth technology, wireless technology has come a long ways. The problem with Bluetooth is it's inconsistent. It may be great with your current phone at the current time, but it doesn't take much. All of a sudden you end up getting a new phone. It can be a Panasonic phone. It can be their new model. For whatever reason, the Bluetooth doesn't work the same. So I don't recommend using Bluetooth when you're prospecting at all. I do recommend using a wired headset. If you go to your local Walmart to buy phones, you'll notice less and less have a wired headset. I highly recommend you use a wired headset. It's just much, much better. This phone is the one I recommend. Long battery life, has a jack for a wired headset. By the way, this is the minimum I would buy. Don't ever buy just one phone. Your phones will die, especially over time as battery life gets weaker and weaker. And it takes hours to charge it up. So have 2 so you can really switch them out. I recommend 3 or 4. I have at least 3 on the same phone line in my house. And if I need to, I can go upstairs and use that line. So, and these are great too because, well, they're great. They're just great. Just get this. it doesn't have to have, this particular model does. I tried to find one that didn't. This particular model has the answering service. I don't really care if it has an answering service or not, like attached like that. Mine does have voicemail, obviously, but it's just inside the phone. All right. So this is the phone that I use. This is the phone that I recommend. If I was buying a phone today, this would be the one I would buy. All right. I'm not telling you your phone doesn't work. I'm just saying people oftentimes ask, what kind of phone do you use? What phone do you use? This is what I use right here. So this comes up to what kind of headset do you use? Here we go. Oh, I couldn't find the exact headset that I use, but I will tell you, it's a wired headset. I have spent over $100 on headsets. I have bought Plantronics. I have bought everything. I'm certain there are great products out there. Headsets, like everything, if you use them every day, they break. So the less money you have to spend, the better off you are. This is old. However, this is absolutely, for a couple years, everything I was buying like this. They look like this now, by the way. This is a new packaging. This is what they look like. I have used other models. I used a model like this for a while. Mine has these two connections here. I love this because I use it for my computer and my phone. But mine does have these two connections here. I buy these in packages of like 3. In fact, I've probably got 2 in the drawer here in my office. I got 1 or 2 in the drawer because they break, and they always break when you least expect it. And they break in lots of different ways. Everything from, I have rolled my chair over my head. I've used this model, by the way. I didn't have a problem with this model, but I do a little bit better with this old school model. It just stays in this place. These things right here can sometimes, after a while, start to irritate your ears. I use this crazy old school right here, over the head. Boop. It's not sexy, it's cheap, and it works. I love the fact that it works. This one I don't think has these extra pieces here, so you want to make certain that you have the one that has, and I believe it's this one, that I would have to look at it in more detail, but I think it has the extra pieces. What's this all-in-one stereo headset? Let's see. Yep, it shows it right there on the package. I know for a fact the ones I have now look just like this. They're in a package that looks just like this. So something similar. GE, I stumbled onto them about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, wow, these just work. And when they break, they're not a ton of money. And I've literally broke headsets. I've had headsets just not even make it 60 days before. Usually I can get 6 months to a year out of one. But when they break, it's always at the absolute worst possible time. And it's just so much easier to make. Do you have to have a headset? No, but it's so much easier to make phone calls. I'm on a headset right now. I'm on a headset every time I'm on the phone. I don't even talk on my phone unless it's my cell phone without a headset. The worst thing you can do is use your speakerphone. Do not use your speakerphone talking to prospects. They can tell you're on a speakerphone. No matter how great you think you sound, no matter how great your friends and family think you sound, when you ask them, prospects can usually tell you're on a speakerphone. I would not use a speakerphone. So this is the headset that I use. All right. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Now, while we're here, we're talking about this, I want to talk about one more thing. Business cards. What kind of business cards do I use? I don't use business cards. That was a trick question. Business cards are mostly worthless. I'm not telling you not to buy business cards, and if you want to buy them, go knock yourself out. You probably will never make a sale with them. Here's how business cards work. How many business cards have you gotten or had given to you over the years? Think of all the business cards you've ever gotten. Now I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you ever made an $11,000 purchase off of a business card? Very rare. How many times have you made a $1,200 purchase off a business card? Very rare. How many times have you made any purchase off a business card? Maybe never. Business cards, a lot of times people will ask for your business card, but it gets lost in the wallet, it gets tore up, it gets bent. 7 years later, when they get a new wallet, they just throw out the wallet and all the business cards that are in it. Or, in 6 months, they start going through their wallet. Or if you're like me, your wife goes through it and throws out everything that looks like you've never used it, which is usually all your business cards. So the business cards are just not effective. Danny Johnson, in her set Prospect and Close Your Way to Millions, I think she covers it on the CD included. Possibly she covers a little bit in the CD included in the script books. She definitely covers it on Prospect and Close Your Way to Millions. She covers it at First Steps many times as well. She teaches you how to talk to someone and how to put yourself in a position where they want to give you their phone number. And that's what you want. You want someone to give you their phone number. Once they give you their phone number, then you're able to call them. A lot of well-intended people will mean to call you. They'll tell you they'll call you, and they'll mean it, and you'll never hear from them. And it ends up being a total waste of time. So I don't really use business cards ever. In fact, I want someone to ask me if I have a card, and I'll usually say, no, do you have one? And then I'll have their phone number. Or I'll say, no, I don't. You know, do you have one? They'll say no, and I'll say, what's a good number I can reach you on? I'll give you a call when I get back in the office. It's a great, easy way to get a phone number. Then you're in charge. You're in control. So I don't really use business cards. Let's see. Speaking of first step success, I want to mention this since I already talked about it. The next first step success is coming up in San Diego, California, January 19th, 21st. If you're watching this video and this is past, because this is going to be a recording that's going in our back office, just know this. I highly recommend you get to your very first event. I wouldn't be in business today had it not been for that first training event that I went to. This woman here, Dani Johnson, she went from homeless for $2.03 to her name to becoming a millionaire in just 2 years, all while starting a home business. She started from the trunk of her car in a payphone booth. Did she have a headset? Did she have a certain type of phone? Did she have a phone burner? No, she had none of that. She started with what she had, which was back then a payphone booth. Those of you that were born after 1980, that's the precursor to a cell phone or a mobile phone. But she had a payphone booth, and she lived out of her car. She worked out of the trunk of her car. This woman has been written about by Forbes magazine. She's been written about by Forbes magazine. She's been on ABC's reality show that they did called Secret Millionaire. She's been interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. Forbes has written about 3 different times. She's been on CNBC. She's been interviewed on Fox News before. She has done hundreds and hundreds of radio interviews and television interviews. Newspapers have written about her. Various local, we're talking about different local newspapers and local television shows and radio stations, etc. But her entire today, she doesn't even take a salary from this business that you're looking at. She retired from needing a salary. She doesn't need to take a salary. She no longer accepts a salary from this business. When she does training events and speaks on stage, she does not take a salary. She donates 100% of her income to the poor. She supports orphanages. She builds orphanages. She feeds. In fact, some of us coastal directors have actually went down and helped build orphanages that her and many of her clients had given to. Dig wells, give clean drinking water, help rescue kids out of sex slavery. There's 12 orphanages here in the States that she's a primary benefactor to those orphanages and supporting them. Her whole goal, she believes in feeding the homeless, the widows, and the poor. And that's really, her passion. So her passion is to be able to help people, the whole saying about, do you teach a man to fish or give a man a fish sort of thing? You give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. She takes it a step further. She believes in teaching people to fish. So you can fish enough to secure your family, and you can fish to give to those who aren't able to go out fishing for themselves. She's about equipping people in the marketplace. She understands what it takes. And it takes a certain level of fortitude, a certain level of tenacity. There are plenty of people that make excuses for their success and why they can't have success. So to have her level of success, it takes a certain level of fortitude, a certain level of tenacity. And some of that you just have to have. She can't make you succeed or make you fail, but she can teach you the skills, because that's the other thing that you have to have. You have the proper set of skills that allowed her to go from homeless with only $2.03 to her name to earning and becoming a millionaire in just 2 years. Today she makes millions and millions of dollars. First steps to success. I don't know if you saw it today. If you log into your back office and look under news and updates, at least at the time of this recording, this is what's there. You're going to see an article about Mr. Sean in California, Sean Shepley. This gentleman, his story is incredible. But what's fascinating in his story, if you read it, is he had made zero income until attending First Steps to Success. And then he generated $50,000 in 100 days. I mean, that's the story. It's crazy. If I added it up right, I think it's like I want to say it's 4 platinum sales. If I added it right, and maybe I did it wrong, but it's in the article, you can see. But he made a lot of money in a short amount of time. But specifically because, and to date, he's been building his business for over 12 years. First step success. By the way, this event is going up, the price is going up, and it's selling out. So get registered. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up lines for questions. Hey, Gail, welcome to the call. Good question. So Gail's asking where the script's at in the computer. I'll show you. Let me see. I've only had to put this in once or twice, so I don't. Under marketing, emails and scripts, right here, add phone script. This is the demo system, so it doesn't have mine obviously, but just click add phone script and you're able to type it in. Then what happens is under all your prospects, you'll see your script there. So when you open up a contact and you call them, you don't have to actually have your, like, here's what I do. I have my my jerk script there just in case they're not polite to me for some reason, and I have my voicemail script in case I need it and I'm not in the system or whatever. But I'll just read my regular script right off the screen, but because it's, you know, it's right there. But if I have to read the jerk script, I just turn my head to my desk and I look down, read it. I've got one call to make, like someone left a message for me, so I'm going to call them, and I'm just going to call one person, so I don't use phone burner for that. And then when I call them, what will happen is it'll go to voicemail. Well, I'm not on phone burner, so I'm not going to leave the recorded voicemail, so I just read it right off the script. You're very welcome, Gail. I'm glad it was helpful. Thank you. Well, if you have any questions related to this stuff, always feel free. You can go back to your director if you need help. If you know, and your director may use something a little bit different, and that's totally okay. I was just showing you tonight, just giving you a start. What do I use? If they use a different type of phone, if they use a different type of headset or whatever, I mean, this by no means is this the gospel. This is just what I've used. I've explained why. I'm typically looking for 2 things. I want it to work well, and I don't want it to cost me any more money than it needs to. That's, you know, generally my rule of thumb. So if your director is using something else, you know, feel free to test it out. I don't ever tell my team members what to use. The reason I thought of doing this training is because I do consistently field these questions, and I thought I wish there was one place I could send someone to, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I should do a training on it, record it, and then they'll have it. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here tonight. We are part of one of the greatest business models on the planet. It's unreal if you think about what we get to do. Literally, we get to live a life where we get to work our own schedule, set our own time, but you talk to people, you read a script, you can earn an excellent income, secure your future, live a life of total freedom and flexibility where you get to live life on your terms. You get to do what you want with whoever you want, wherever you want, however you want. You get to donate money to whatever causes are important to your heart. You get to make a difference in the way that you choose to, and no longer are you working to make someone else rich, but you're working for the richness of your own life. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen. God bless.